The Strait of Hormuz is a highly constrained maritime corridor, measuring exactly 33 kilometers wide between Iran and Oman. Every single day, 21 million barrels of crude oil pass through these lanes, handling over 1/5 of the world's petroleum consumption. Recently, Donald Trump issued a severe diplomatic ultimatum targeting Oman, demanding they deny maritime safe havens to rogue actors. Historically, Oman has served as a neutral backchannel between Washington and Tehran. By forcing Muscat to pick a side, the U.S. is effectively removing a critical diplomatic safety valve. Without these diplomatic gray zones, Tehran is backed into a corner. In this scenario, their primary strategic leverage shifts from negotiation to the physical closure of the strait. For the United States, the military objective is absolute. The Persian Gulf must remain open for commercial transport at any cost. Iran recognizes it cannot win a conventional blue water engagement. Instead, they have pivoted to a high-readiness asymmetric network designed to exploit the local environment. This raises a tactical question. Can conventional U.S. supremacy actually defeat a multi-layered asymmetric blockade in these specific waters? To find out, we are going to mathematically test the combat geometry of the world's most critical economic artery. The first constraint is geographic. Much of the Persian Gulf is remarkably shallow, limiting the maneuverability of large U.S. aircraft carriers and deep-water submarines. Iran's subsurface solution is the Ghadir-class Mijik submarine. These vessels are roughly 10 times smaller than a standard U.S. nuclear sub, allowing them to operate in coastal shallows. These subs use a bottom-resting tactic. They dive to the seafloor and shut off their propulsion and onboard systems, making them nearly impossible to distinguish from the seabed using active sonar tracking. From these stationary, hidden positions, they deploy their most dangerous subsurface asset, the Hoot torpedo. The Hoot utilizes supercavitation. Venting exhaust forward creates a drag-free air bubble around its hull, effectively flying through the water. This achieves 360 kilometers per hour. Compared to a standard torpedo's 60-kilometer limit, this speed makes interception nearly impossible. The shallow geography and specialized physics of the Gulf can transform advanced U.S. warships from hunters into stationary targets. On the surface, the simulation introduces Iran's Mosquito fleet, dozens of Zulfikar-class fast-attack speedboats. These boats utilize kamikaze tactics. Operators steer explosive-packed hulls directly into tankers at high speeds, using life jackets to bail out into the water just before the impact triggers a blast. The third layer is the airspace. Western defenses rely on advanced targeting systems, similar to the Iron Dome, to track and intercept incoming threats. Iran counters this through target saturation, the use of low-cost drone swarms to intentionally exceed the computational and physical capacity of a defense grid. This chart visualizes the mathematical failure point. If a defense node has 60 interceptors, but a synchronized wave of 200 drones arrives at once, the system is physically overrun. 140 threats will hit the target regardless of how advanced the radar is. When these three domains, subsurface, surface, and air, are synchronized, the defensive load for a commercial vessel exceeds its capacity to respond, making safe passage statistically improbable. A kinetic strike in the Gulf instantly triggers algorithmic warfare. International insurers will declare the region an uninsurable war risk zone, halting freight and driving premiums to unsustainable levels. The Western fallback plan is to divert oil via overland pipelines across Saudi Arabia and the UAE, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz entirely. However, the physical volume of these pipelines is insufficient. As this data shows, they lack the capacity to handle even half of the 21 million barrels that Hormuz processes every single day. There is no physical, logistical safety net. If the strait is successfully blocked, the resulting supply shock cannot be absorbed by existing infrastructure. Within hours of a closure, crude oil prices would experience a parabolic, algorithm-driven spike as markets react to the immediate scarcity. Massive fuel volatility often acts as the final stress test for companies already operating on narrow margins, seen in the recent bankruptcy filings of major carriers like Spirit Airlines. This macro shock rapidly translates into hyperinflation for the working class, as the costs for basic fuel, the logistics of food transport, and daily goods all rise simultaneously. While Western economies are exposed, China has protected itself by using alternative financial networks like CIPS and deep energy partnerships to bypass these specific shocks. The ultimatum to Oman is the trigger on a global economic bomb. It proves that in modern conflict, the ability to physically choke energy supply chains is the ultimate weapon of mass destruction.